Hello and welcome to a very exciting edition of Spotlight on Jackson County here on WKFK TV 7. I have got a guy that probably needs no introduction, but he's kind of like the ever-ready bunny. He just keeps going and going and going, and he's really a great guy, and I want to welcome Todd Trenchard to the show.
Thank you,
Todd,
Doug.
welcome to come to be on the show here. We want to talk about a new show you got going here on WKFK. That's Financial Matters.
Right. I'm very excited to be back on WKFK. Started on television here, so many years ago. I'll never forget the day I came here to be on Hal Camella's show. And when I left, I was driving back to the Home of Grace, and Hal called me on the phone and said, "How would you like your own TV show?" And I just thought that was just either he was crazy or he had the wrong number. Went back to Billy and told him that I thought that this might be a great way to get out what the Home of Grace did in the local community. And like they say, the rest is history. You know, you come out, you get the Home of Grace out of Van Cleve, bring it out into the community, you expose your own life in the community, and before you know it, like we were just talking, it's almost like this surreal dream you've lived, and you're no longer at the Home of Grace. You're, in the big business world, and talking about what we're talking about, financial matters. So it has a special place in my heart, and Tammy and I were discussing how we could, having done the community side of Merchants and Marine Bank for so long with the Baco McCarty Foundation and all the things we do in the community, but the bottom line is we're a financial institution, and as a financial institution we have a responsibility and obligation to our community to educate them, and what better way to do it than with some of the, I guess, connections and relationships that we've built over the years. I felt it very important to do it on WKFK, knowing that the audience that y'all had, the demographic area that y'all served, that this would be our best way to get out, and wanted a show that not only educated our customers, but somehow could educate our youth about the importance of financial matters. So what we're trying to do, Doug, again, is bring on guests, and we will do this each week, where we'll talk about things that you maybe have some questions and maybe we can answer. But then I think our real eventual goal is to somehow bring that into the school districts and somehow teach, the younger generation about those financial matters, so we can have a stronger financial base going forward.
Well, I find it's a lot different now. Back when I was a kid, you had like real money in your hand, and if you didn't have the real money in your hand, you didn't have any money.
Right.
Now they got a piece of plastic, and it's kind of easy to swipe that card and not really keep up with or think about how much money is in there or how much money's not in there. It's just different now. So I think we really need to talk to our youth and kind of educate them about and making investments. You talk to a lot of young people, and they're not thinking about retirement.
Immediate gratification.
Yeah,
capitalistic society sort of breeds immediate gratification and not willing to work a little bit at a time, overtime, or laying a solid foundation. And again, the responsibility of a good bank, a good community bank, is going to be that not every loan's approved. Not every request is. It's your obligation and responsibility to tell somebody that you do have to pay it back, and with it comes charges. And do you really want to go there? Just because you can pay back a loan doesn't mean you can afford a loan. Just because you can, it's just $10,000. Well, that $10,000 can end up $20,000. And as well as everybody else out there, student loans. I mean, I know when I was getting student loans as a freshman at Tulane, I wasn't thinking about that to pay them back. And then years later, when I had to pay it back, I'm still paying it back decades later. And that $5,000 or $6,000 suddenly has turned into $40,000. So I wish somebody back then would have put denied, on that. And so I think it's. I think the more we educate our community, the more we educate our kids, we're going to have a stronger community, and we're going to have a stronger financial base. And that's, I guess, what bankers should be doing.
Yeah, but even the older folks need to think about retirement. I mean, they need to figure out ways of taking what money they have and I guess figuring out a way to secure their future with it, and the different ways that you can do that. And that's what you talked about on your show.
I think that, again, I'm looking forward to the show because as I invite people on, I can learn myself. And being in some of the circles I'm at, I get questions all the time that I don't know the answer to. I'm not sure that anybody has all the answers to all the questions, but if we can use this venue called television to bring it out to the general populace again, and then invite them to ask us some questions of things they may want to see or hear about, I think that we're going to be much better off and much better educated because, again, a lot of times we're all shooting from the hip. You're so right. In the past, whatever you had in your pocket is what you had. Today, it's little pieces of plastic or, just a signature here, run a tab here. And, after a while, you just get farther and farther and farther behind. You're just paying off debt. You're not getting ahead. So I guess it's the school of hard knocks that gets you to eventually say, hey, this isn't working long term, and that's what I think we hope to address here. And again, having M&M Bank support and name behind it, I brought the idea to Royce, and he thought like I did that this is a great idea. This is something that we can really make a difference in our community through TV, and we're just appreciative that Channel 7 is allowing us to do that.
Well, we're grateful that you're here doing it. I can remember as a kid and then growing up a little, I never really thought about retirement. It wasn't until I went to work somewhere that had a retirement plan. And I remember thinking the first time that came out of my check, I was young, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money, man. I could be going out on Friday night or something and all that.
Right.
But then I get older.
Right.
And then I get to that point and
right.
I'm thinking, wow, that was very important that I started it that young.
Right.
And you had Wayne Rodolphich on one
right.
of your shows. And he's a real forward-thinking person in education in our county. And I'm telling you, he had some really good ideas. And that's where we need to start, with the youth.
Right.
Because after all, they're going to grow up and they need to become responsible.
It's just a little bit putting away for retirement. I've learned, like a lot of people, I'm so brilliant that I've lost quite a bit of money in the stock market. I'm so brilliant that I've lost quite a bit of money in the real estate market. The only thing that has ever worked, that has ever become beneficial to me, is putting away a little bit over a long period of time, dollar cost averaging, into a 401k plan that's matched at 5%, that all of a sudden starts growing and you start seeing 25, 30% returns. When the market goes down, you just keep putting it in, you're buying more shares. The market goes up. Eventually, over time, that I think is the only way. And that is a disciplined approach to savings, retirement. And again, I think that I've learned something from that in my experience in life, because I think generally we all think that we're smart enough to be able to figure the system out. I'm not sure how many people have ever figured out the stock market. As soon as you think it's going to the roof, it goes to the floor. And but again, if you just put a little bit away in safe, conservative vehicles, over time it does add up to be quite substantial.
Right, and that's what we need to really be. We all need to be responsible, because I don't think the government's going to be there for everybody all the time. And
right.
I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. Well, I'll just get my Social Security. Well, that's not going to be enough, and that's
right.
not going to sustain you.
Well, and it's not always how much you make. People look at salaries, and salaries, it's a disciplined lifestyle, and it's sometimes how much you spend that has much more of an effect on your wealth and where you're going to end up than how much you're going to make. You can make all the money in the world, but if you're not, living a disciplined lifestyle, there's not enough money. You just want more. And again, that immediate gratification starts taking over. You start wanting to buy yourself a Mercedes at age 30 when you might have had to wait till you were 60, if ever. I think it's not uncommon. I always want to keep up, like they say, with the Joneses and what they have, and we compare ourselves to someone else. When a lot of the stuff we get, we probably could do without. And those that are happy in their retirement usually are the ones that just sat there and just put it along.
Yeah, I tell a lot of young folks, even some of them that work here at the station, you need to just put $15, $20 a week back.
Right.
Oh wow, I wouldn't be able to buy this video game or do that, but you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I remember one of the lessons I learned was when I figured out on a piece of paper how much I was spending on cigarettes a day, and I was smoking 3 packs a day, and today that's $4 a day. That's $12 a day on cigarettes times 30 is $360 a month. If you start looking at it that way, and then over the years, you got a couple $100,000 you spent, not to mention the health problems you've had and the insurance premiums. These are major decisions we can make.
And your show is designed to bring the information that people are going to need to help make these major decisions.
Yep.
And I really applaud you thinking about the young people and bringing it into the schools, because that's where you really need to start.
And when you have a superintendent like Wayne Rudolph just thinks out the box, that looks forward to you coming up with these ideas.
Exactly.
And we do. And I think the other financial institutions feel the same way. We're just going to, again, just take the lead, ask them to come on board. We want their expertise. We don't have to have the answers to everything. We've got big banks that are the size of like a Wells Fargo, bazillion-dollar banks in our backyard, and we have small banks in our backyard that serve a purpose to a small community. So it all works together to make a better community, and we don't want anything exclusive. We're the host of the show, and we're looking for their cooperation and support also.
We got about 30 seconds. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with there, Todd?
Well, again, I just want to encourage people to tune in, watch the show. We want to get your suggestions on how we can make it a better show, an informative show, an educational show for both you and maybe your loved ones, whether they be young or old. And again, that's what we're all tasked to do, make this a better place, and hopefully we can do it through this show.
Well, you have certainly worked very hard, and you make a difference to a lot of people in Jackson County.
I appreciate that.
A lot of people in Jackson County. I really don't think you realize how many people he makes a difference with in Jackson County.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
And that's kind of why I call him the Ever-Ready Bunny, folks, because he's always going, and he's always helping, he's always trying to make a difference, and you're a great guy for that. I want to say thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for coming on Spotlight, Todd.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to look for your show. And thank you for watching this segment of Spotlight on Jackson County. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to Spotlight on Jackson County. We are going to be talking about the fastest game on 2 feet. We are joined by Coach Jeff Harold. He's the varsity lacrosse coach for Motion Springs, and Mr. Alston Smith. He is the varsity goalie for lacrosse team from Ocean Springs. Coach Harold, you got a big deal coming up here, the Battle by the Beach 4.
That's right.
Okay, and it's going to be at the Gulfport Sports Complex?
Yep, it's going to be out there, I think it's Highway 57.
Oh, no, that's next year maybe.
Next year, we're trying to bring it back.
Whenever that one's finished next year, it'll be on Highway 57, the Ocean Springs Sports Complex. It's going to be out there in Gulfport, right off the interstate.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
Nope.
Can't miss it. You're expecting 46 teams from how many states?
6 different states.
6 different states. 1,000 players.
1,000 players and several thousand spectators is what we're hoping to have.
This is a big deal.
It's the biggest one we've had here.
Biggest one you've had. How you doing? How's your team doing this year, Alston?
We're doing pretty good. Won a few games, lost a few, but we're looking to bring it back in the later season. Gonna be doing good.
So why do they call it the fastest game on 2 feet?
Game can change in a split second. That's why, and it's on 2 feet.
Yeah, it's faster than basketball. I've seen you play a lot, and it's kind of unique the way you have that. What is that?
The cross stick.
and then the way you carry it, and you have to keep turning it like this with your hand. Yeah, and it's kind of weird, but it's kind of neat at the same time.
Makes it unique.
Yes. Do we have a lot of teams down here, Coach, that other than the Ocean Springs team?
We're the only high school team in Mississippi.
So that means you're playing a lot of out-of-state teams.
We play in the Louisiana High School League, so all of our games are in Louisiana or here in Ocean Springs.
Maybe this can migrate, or can this possibly migrate to other schools?
They're trying to get a team in Biloxi. They're kind of in the beginning stages of trying to develop a club program out in Biloxi. So we're hoping that they can spread it that direction, and we can get some more teams down here in South Mississippi.
You got to be in shape, don't you, Alston, to play this? If it's the fastest game on 2 feet, I would think that you probably have to be in real good shape to do this.
The running wears on you after a while, but you do. You have to work hard to be able to run that much. It's not as hard for me because I sit in the goal a long time, but people who run up and down the field, it's hard.
Yeah, but I bet you the coach makes you run a lot in practice.
6-on-6, we scrimmage a lot, so you do run a lot.
Great. Are you looking forward to trying to get more teams in Mississippi, Coach?
Absolutely. Lacrosse is the fastest growing team sport in America, and we're hoping that just the initial stages here in Mississippi, we can get more teams to play. We already have teams developing in Alabama and the surrounding states, so we hope we can bring it here to Mississippi.
This seems like it's going to bring a lot of people into the coast. It's good for tourism. I mean, you got thousands of people coming and thousands of players. This will give them a chance to see what we have here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of the key things is just getting people to understand that there is actually lacrosse here in Mississippi. Then they can come see it live, and you don't have to go to another state to do it.
And this is not. Do you have more levels other than varsity? Do you have like younger groups that participate in lacrosse?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that is making our program hopefully more successful in the coming years. Is we have a huge youth program, the U13 and U15 teams. They've got over 35 kids on those teams, and that's kind of our bread and butter to get those kids, let them start playing at a young age. Because it's a hard sport to pick up the older you get. So if we can get them at a young age, have them have 4 or 5 years of playing before they reach the high school level, then we're going to be a lot more successful as a program.
Yeah, I would think that getting the youth involved early, and that's kind of like where you're going to get your varsity players from. We got about 1 minute. This is coming up in when is this going to be?
March 19th and
March
20th.
19th?
19th and 20th.
19th and 20th at the Sportsplex in Gulfport, right off of I-10. Battle by the Beach 4 tournament, and they're expecting 1,000 players and thousands of spectators. So if you can, come out and support this new sport in South Mississippi. It's something that's very exciting. I've watched it many times, and you can't blink, folks, because you'll miss something. It is the fastest game on 2 feet. Coach Harold, appreciate you coming on the show. Alston, thank you for coming on the show. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the fastest on 4 feet. We'll see you in just a second. Welcome back to Spotlight on Jackson County. Well, we've talked about the fastest game on 2 feet. Now we're going to talk about the fastest dog on 4 feet. We are talking about greyhounds, and we have Linda and Al Murphy.
Correct.
And they are with the Greyhound Pets of America, Louisiana and Mississippi chapter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dad.
I've learned a lot about greyhounds in our little conversation before we went on the air here. Tell us a little bit about greyhounds and what your chapter does.
We usually we get the greyhounds from the tracks if they're not good at running, or if they're past the age of 5, which is the age limit for them to run. They give them to the
To the various agencies, for
to
adoption
put them up
purposes.
for adoption. And we take them in, we put them in foster homes to find out how they work with other dogs, pets, kids, cats, whatever, before we put them out into a house. We also have them neutered or spayed. They're up on their shots. They're up on their heartworm medicine. They're up on their flea medicine. They had their teeth cleaned. They're pretty, and they're ready to go to a loving home.
And if somebody wants to come and experience and fall in love with a greyhound, they can do that.
We go to the PetSmart in Gulfport and D'Iberville the second Saturday of every month, and we alternate between the two PetSmarts. So this month, next Saturday, we will be at the D'Iberville PetSmart from 12:30 to 2:30, and we will have 6-8 dogs there with us. Some of them belong to us, and they're our spokesmodels, but they're there for people to see how they act and see how calm and quiet they are. They're not hyper. They don't bark. And you can come pet them and fall in love with them.
Yeah, we're showing a few
that's
pictures
it.
of them on
You
the
can
screen
come
here.
pet them and fall in love with them and have one of your own very shortly.
And that's how it does differ from, say, the Humane Society, where you go in and say, I want that one. We're trying to match the dogs with a potential owner, and that way the potential owner gets to see exactly what they're getting. Now, mind you, they won't get the ones that are there, but they'll get a one similar.
And from what I understand in our conversation before we went on the air here, these dogs are very docile.
They
Yes,
are. They are
yes.
very quiet. They sleep 16, 18 hours a day. They go outside, take care of their business. They come back in. They're looking for a couch, someplace soft to lay down. They don't have a lot of body fat on them, so they need someplace soft to lay down. They don't have the oil in their skin like a normal dog would, so you don't need to bathe them as often unless they get into something. It can be 6 months and you can't have a dog smell on them.
There you go.
Really?
Yes.
They do have to be in a fenced yard or on a leash at all times if they're out. You cannot turn one loose because at 40 miles an hour in 2 strides, you will not catch them.
Yeah, he's gone in 2 strides, folks. Gone. So you have to have a fence and you have to have them on a leash.
Yeah, if they're not in a fenced area and they're outside, they have to be on a leash. And you also get a martingale collar and a leash that comes with the dog. And the martingale collar is one that tightens up. It's wide and it's not like a choke chain, but it tightens up on them because their head is the same width as their neck, and they will back out of a regular collar. So you have to have something that.
Well, having been around horses for a long time, I know what a
Exactly.
martingale is.
Not great.
I can tell you,
But they're used to being handled. They're used to being around
Right.
people. They're very social animals, and
They've only seen greyhounds and people. That's all they've seen all
Yep.
their lives.
And you were telling me that they have to become oriented to a house. They don't know
They
what
do.
a house
They
is.
don't know what
That's correct.
stairs are. They don't know what windows are. If you have a pool, you have to be real careful because they do not swim. They will just lay down and sink.
Wow.
that's just the way they are.
They can run fast, but they
They
can't
can't swim.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's an hour or two. Listen, it took Guru probably a month to learn to do the stairs.
No, it took him a couple of weeks.
A couple of
It
weeks
took
to learn.
Shooter.
It took Shooter about a month to
Yeah.
learn the stairs.
Shooter decided as long as he stood there and we moved his feet, that would get him up the stairs.
See, you're the proud owner of 2 of these.
We have 2, yes.
And if you could, you'd have another one.
I would if I had room, but our house is very small, and they already take up the bed.
You got 2 dogs. We have a little photograph of their.
Right, and
That's, normal
when
position.
that's their normal
Yeah.
position most of the day. They can curl up into a ball. They will stretch out with all 4 feet and push you off the bed if you're not careful.
So y'all are going to have the fastest dogs on 4 feet at the game that is the fastest game
Right.
That's
on
correct.
2 feet.
Our greyhounds are going to be there to root on the 2-legged greyhounds.
And people can
They can
come and look at the dogs
Yes.
while you're there.
Mhm. Yes.
Right, the lacrosse tournament's coming up on the 19th and 20th.
Right.
The Gulfport Sports Plex.
And we
So
will
we
be
invite
there.
everybody there.
We got about 1 minute. Let's talk about what it would cost if somebody wanted to adopt one of these greyhounds.
Easy.
The adoption process is fill out the form that we have online, and the address is houndsabound.org. You can go fill out an application, and you send $75 in with the application. Then when you get the dog, it's another $125. So the adoption fee altogether is $200.
And does someone come to your home and
They do. They come to your home and do a home inspection to make sure that everything's okay. That if you don't have a fenced yard, that at least you've got a place to walk them. Make sure that everything's okay. That if you have other dogs or cats or whatever in your house, that the dog gets along with that. They usually bring the dog with them, and if everything's fine, then the dog stays.
Right. One of the things, you don't need a large yard. People think when you need,
You can have them in an
You just-
apartment as long
yeah.
as you take them for a walk 2 or 3 times a week.
they're fine.
Just 2 or 3 times a week?
Correct. When they're
them for a
racing,
nice
they only
long
race a
walk.
couple of days a week, and
They race 2
otherwise,
days a week. The race is 30 seconds long.
My dogs get upset if they don't go for a walk 3 times a day.
well, see, there you are.
Hey, maybe we need to talk about trading them in. Well, Linda, Al, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I
Doug,
learned
thank
a lot,
you.
and you need to go to the lacrosse
Right.
tournament.
Come to the lacrosse tournament. See the 2-legged and the 4-legged greyhounds.
That's
you
it.
go.
You can't ask for better than that. And you can't ask for a better show than this. So join us next time for Spotlight on Jackson County. We'll see you then.